Good morning, party people. This video is about to watch is the last day of my Hattiesburg journey. Jumped in the car after that next morning, packed up and got out of there. Unfortunately, still didn't have CV boots and didn't have the PCV stuff, a couple other little petty things. So, but you know, can't sit around wait for parts. That's not part of the plan. Besides that, people ask me to give them a call. I can't tell you how weird it is or how weird people get when I call them. I don't call people that leave me different messages, say, hey, call me. Because I call, then people act weird, like they don't know who I am. They didn't call me. They didn't ask me to call them. So I just don't do it. So you can call me anytime you ready. I'm not going to initiate calls to people for the first time. I just don't do well with crazy. It's not one of my specialties. So give me a call anytime. If I miss your call, I'll call you back. Or we could just talk about whatever you're having issues with you'd like for me to try to help you with. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert. That's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you could click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. I'm here with this Lexus. It is a ES300 2003 model. It has an error code P0171 and P0174. That means it's running lean on bank 1 and bank 2. Now, most people think O2 sensors, and I initially thought it may have been the fuel pump. When I test drove the car had serious hesitations in passing gear speeds. It actually felt like the transmission was slipping. But I think it was the car not producing the right power, so it wasn't shifting the transmission right. You know, these computers are complicated. Anyway, car not running right, and even though it had a full tank of gas, it was giving me an estimate of a range of like 235 miles to empty. You know, when you're getting that bad at fuel mileage, you got a problem with it running rich or lean. So first thing I did was I asked the owner when the last time they had a tune-up. Second thing I did was came in here and looked for some kind of vacuum leak or intake leak. And I found this hose right there torn open. Now from your air filter box, you have your MAP or mass airflow sensor. Then that pipe goes into your intake system. This air chamber between this sensor or this filter and your intake system, the air flow and pressure is monitored by this sensor. If you have air leakage in there, it'll cause problems. Running rich, running lean, or if you got a bad sensor and it's not sending the right reading, it could cause those kind of problems. No, normally if the sensor's locked up, it'll throw a code for the sensor. That didn't happen here. Running rich, running lean. I checked other vacuum lines, they look good, but that's the only opening I could find. So the owner went and picked up this hose from, I believe, AutoZone. That's the part number, stuff like that. Anytime an auto parts store has these in stock, this is happening a lot. Of course, this engine that is a Toyota engine Lexus shares. It's a very common engine in their Lexus cars, Toyota Camrys, Toyota minivans, whatnot, and a lot of them use those hoses. So this is what I got out of the box. I'm going to go ahead and replace this so you can see how that's done. The hose is pretty short. It doesn't have a lot of movement in it. This compartment's kind of tight. Now, first thing you want to do is look at the orientation of the hose that's on there. You got this little nipple on this plastic housing. It's got a little notch in it. That notch should be lined up with the hose. Back here, there's a tip on the hose back there. So you want to put your new hose on orientated just like that. Next, you want to get this air box top over away from that so that you can get this hose out of here. It's not a long hose, so you don't have a lot of space to move. So what I'm going to do is take the air box top loose as if I was going to be changing the air filter in there, and being careful not to rough up anything. See, you got a little sensor on here, maybe a purge valve, connector there, little hose there. You got a little hose. Oh, this is actually broken over here. I don't know if that would be a problem or not, but so this is broken. This is going to need a new air filter top in order to get that fixed. And this is the kind of stuff you want to be careful you don't break and rough up when you're in here working on this stuff. I don't know who did that. Somebody might have leaned on it, broke it, maybe done it even replacing a battery at one point. So you could pull these vacuum nipples off like that to avoid roughing those up or breaking them, and then replace that hose there. I pulled that one off. I'm gonna try to push these next two off over here. Use a screwdriver or something. You could pull this cover up and out of the way. It has a couple of Allen screws. Take this cover out of the way so you can reach that stuff. And then we're going to pull a 10mm bolt out here, 10mm bolt out here. Take this 10mm loose here, that 10mm loose there. Shift this over a little bit, get that hose out, put the replacement hose on, and put this stuff back together. So pull these vacuum hoses off of this thing, maybe unplug this. You know, you just want to not put too much tension on anything. You can leave this stuff plugged up or you can unplug it. It's up to you. Just don't break nothing. I took these 3 cover bolts loose, 5mm hex. That lifts up. Put hands on either side, work it up and over. It's got clips on the bottom there that clip on to the fuel rail or something. This little fuel rail brackets, so you can get that off of there. And the bolts will fall out if you turn it upside down. I gotta find those. Next, I'm unplugging these vacuum lines from this air box. The yellow one, painted yellow, so you know where that goes. And you just don't want to break anything. I got those disconnected from there. I may be able to leave this stuff on the back, have enough movement in these 2 wire connectors. Shouldn't need to disconnect those, but it's clipped. The wire connectors are clipped in there, but you can go ahead and remove those. Just squeeze the tab, pull the plugs off. So if you move this over, you're not stressing those wires or breaking those connectors. Next thing I did was I unscrewed that 10mm from that corner. I did the same for that 10mm on that corner. Now these are supposed to stay put, clipped in here like this. Then I took that 10mm loose, that 10mm loose. I lifted the air filter box up a little bit, pivoted it this way, and when I did that, that screw on the back side fell out. So you may want to grab these and unplug them so you don't lose them, because I got one that I need to find now. And when I unplugged it, it pulled out of this part of the hose. Then I pulled that part of the hose out. So now I'm going to take these clamps and transfer them onto this new hose here. You also want to check your air filter while you're in here. Pull the air filter out and make sure that the underside of it is clean and doesn't need to be replaced. And then you can start putting this stuff back together. So let me get my magnet, find that screw I lost, and then work on getting this back together. So this air filter is dirty. I don't know if it's dirty enough to clean or not. This is a reusable, cleanable can-in filter. So that can probably be cleaned and reused. Some people prefer the regular paper filters. Some people like these because they're cleanable and reusable, supposed to give you better airflow. However, if you over oil them, they can saturate your MAP or mass airflow sensor. So let's see if that sensor is hanging down in there, and you could clean those as well. Yeah, that's hanging down more like a mass airflow sensor would. That can be cleaned if you want. Some people like leaving them alone. I banged the filter on the ground a few times. It looks pretty decent in the sunlight. One of these edges I thought was torn when I had it in my hand, but it looks okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put it back in there and put this new hose on, screw the filter box on, hook up these vacuum lines, and take it for a test drive. Now while you have this out, you can make sure that these hoses under this cover look good and you don't see anything broken or damaged down under there as well. Oh, this may be an improvement. It looked like this crossover pipe is actually metal, not rubber, so you may not ever have to do the crossover on this engine. That pipe there looks like a metal pipe with rubber ends. Now we place the airbox top back onto the lower part of the airbox top after putting the filter in place. Now this passenger side of this airbox top has clips that latch into the lower part. One of those was damaged on this one. Then you make sure you maneuver the top of the box properly on the lower part of the box. You screw those clamps on with the new hose. You screw the top of the box down to the lower part, and I noticed that this washer kind of locks under a groove on the top box, so those really shouldn't fall out. So I had to reinsert those so that they were under that little recess on the top of the box. Screwed those down and tightened those down on both sides. So that's how that's supposed to look. And I connected the vacuum lines properly to it. Now I'm ready to put that engine cover back on. So I put the three, I think they're 5mm hexes in all three positions there on this engine cover. Lock that in place. That's the little piece that I found for that. Then I went in and reset the codes, started the engine, and then scanned it for codes. No codes. Time to finish up here. I'm going to replace the front hubs, both sides, and the sway bar end links, and put the rest of the stuff, this remnants, back together here. I don't know if he's got this bar here or not. He's got the bracket and stuff for it, but the bar is missing. He also had a mirror he wanted to hang, and I brought in one of these trim pieces since that one is destroyed. So let me go ahead and get started on this stuff and wrap this up. I don't think I'm going to be able to wait for the other parts he's got coming in. He's got a couple of PCV parts ordered, and he ordered some CV axle boots because I, suggested if he could get those in quickly, I could do that for him. He ordered those things yesterday morning. I don't think they even shipped them yet. They're talking about shipping them tomorrow, which is Friday. May not get here till Sunday. Monday, I got to be back in Cincinnati because I got doctor's appointments Tuesday. So I think we're not going to wait for those parts. Unless for some reason before we leave tomorrow, they got a delivery date of Saturday. So we'll see how that goes. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and work on these hubs. And that's a tough job in itself. Let me make sure I got the tool to get those hubs apart. I think I do in my backpack. Put that white safety clip in the timing belt hydraulic tensioner. Get all the stuff on up here. We replace the hubs with fag hubs. Getting ready to put the CV axles back in. Like I said, we didn't have the boots yet. And we changed the anti-sway bar end links. They seemed tight, but the boots were torn on them, so it was only a matter of time. So we're getting ready to put these axles in, torque those down, put the rotor back on, the caliper back on. That's in the video. showing you how to do that stuff. Linked in the description. And then we're going to get this car on the ground, take it for a test drive, and install the oxygen sensor. We got the wheels torqued, and we're going to put the center caps on, press them on. The hubs are torqued, CV axles, whatever you want to call them. You need to use 2 hands up. There we go. We put an O2 sensor in, heated up the bung, pulled the plug out, got the O2 sensor in. Man, this snap intake was a bear. Reaching around, I didn't pull it because I couldn't get some things loose from it. So I loosened it, lifted it up, reached my hand under there, got the O2 sensor hooked up, bumped into the PCV system. It's aftermarket. Hose broke. The small hose that connect to the back side of the PTC, you just squeeze that hard plastic tube, it would shatter in your hand. You know, that's why it's so important to get that stuff Volvo. We got this wheel torqued on, the hub torqued on. Gonna put the cap back on that one. We got the carpet and stuff put back in under the floor because it was not leaking at all, the heater core. Now we're dealing with that door over there. Let me take you over there and introduce you to that. Of course, you pull the door panel off. Half of these clips are still in the door, not stuck to the door panel like they should be, so that's got to be glued on. Now, the other thing is when you pull the handle's jammed. So the latch is somehow jammed. See, the cable's trying to pull it, but it can't. It's stuck. When he was unlocking the cars, somebody pulled the handle from the outside, and ever since then it's been jammed. So I'm going to take the latch out and see if I could unjam it, see if there's something broken. Hopefully I won't make it any worse, but right now it's jammed. It locks and unlocks, and you can open it from the outside, but the cable is jammed on the inside. It won't pull the latch. So let's pull it out, see what we see. I took the handle loose, thought it might be easier to get the latch out. Now I'm going to take the latch out. May have to unplug that light. The window track is riveted in on this car, so can't move that out of the way. So let me maneuver this out. I already got it unplugged, and see where we go from there. Alright, I got the latch out. It looks like that thing goes down, so I'm not sure why the cable is not pulling it down. That's because that's moving pretty easy. Maybe something's jammed up here. Let me pull the handle off. So the cable has come up out of the handle a little bit, and that's causing the metal pin to hit the plastic housing. It's not pushed down as far as it should. So there's something wrong with the sleeve of the cable. It's not letting the cable sit all the way down in the housing the way it's supposed to. Let me get a pair of pliers, see if I can persuade that to go all the way down, and then maybe I'll figure out some kind of way to zip tie it down to make it stay for a while and see how that works. So we are there. The cable is in. I'm going to drill a couple of holes in here so I can put a zip tie around it and zip it down and see if that holds this thing in for good. We might be okay, but I got to make sure I don't hit the spring or nothing in there, but it looks hollow enough that I could put a zip tie in there, so let me try that. Not sure how, but my phone failed to record a clip. Maybe the battery died, not sure. At any rate, I took this handle housing assembly and I drilled 2 holes where you see these yellow marks on it, and I ran a zip tie through those holes, in and out of those holes, up over the top side of that cable, and pulled it tight to keep that cable pulled down into the housing of this handle assembly. Now this cable is missing a tab that goes down toward where I drilled those holes and clips at the bottom of the assembly there where the latch goes through, and that holds that cable in place, but that was broke off, so I used a zip tie to zip tie it, and that should hold, But, you know, when you get a chance, go ahead and get a new cable from somewhere, or replacement cable, new or used, doesn't matter, and install that, and you'll have more of a lifetime fix. But who knows? The zip tie may hold it for a lifetime. So that's how I fixed that. The door handle works great after that. So, man, this car's like a limousine. Look at the back seat. It ain't even been dealer prep back here. The back seats are brand freaking new. And guess what? Heated rear seats. Man, you can't beat that. Heated rear seats and they still brand new. Come on now. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.